The new Optimus Prime LEGO set is fantastic. But can we build a better one with just the pieces from one Optimus Prime set? Well, in this video, let's discuss this fantastic LEGO set, and I'll show you an awesome alternate build for this set, and I'll let you know how you can build it yourself. Let's go. So LEGO actually made an Optimus Prime set. Who would have thought they would have done that? Teaming up with Hasbro and everything? Amazing. Ever since I was a kid, I was always a big fan of Transformers, and I remember dreaming of the day that LEGO would actually make an official Transformers LEGO set, and that day has finally come, so it's pretty exciting. Plus, it's also nice to get more system robots, because with Bionicle and Construction not necessarily being a thing anymore, this is kind of the closest thing we can get. So Optimus Prime himself looks brilliant in LEGO form. When you compare him to similar toys, as well as how he looked in the actual cartoon, he's pretty accurate. He captures most of the details and the overall look very nicely. But I think the LEGO set has this beautiful kind of LEGO charm to it, which does set it apart from any kind of typical Transformer. Optimus also has some pretty decent posability. I was a little bit worried that because he can actually transform, that might kind of limit some of the posability and he'd kind of be more of just like a static robot. But honestly, he moves and grooves as you would expect him to. The only issue is that he doesn't have any knees. But, I mean, this is only kind of slightly annoying because most LEGO sets or LEGO kind of mechs and robots these days don't ever really have knee joints. So it's kind of just expected at this point. So yeah, not really a huge deal per se. But otherwise, posability's pretty good. You also get the nice little info plaque as well as Optimus's Energon axe as some of the accessories that come with the set. Additionally, you do also get his blaster. Now, the way this attaches is pretty unique. He can't actually physically hold it in his hand. Instead, it's just inserted onto the studs on his arm, and the fingers just kind of wrap around their sort of grip on the gun there. It's kind of a clever way of doing it, and it makes sense, so it's a fun little way of doing things. Inside the torso is the Matrix of Leadership, which can be removed as well. I really like how this is built. It uses 4 of these inkwell pieces, and they just attach onto a boat stud, and they're kind of sandwiched in between these kind of handle pieces here. It's kind of a more unique technique. They're not necessarily actually attached, it's just kind of held together with friction, but it works really nicely, so a clever little technique there for sure. I've seen some people complain about the printed eyes on Optimus's face. I like it, didn't really see any issue with it, honestly. But I did swap it out for some of these studs here, and honestly, I think that actually works pretty good. So if you don't really like that face design, there's a pretty simple fix that you can do there. Now let's talk about the actual transformation on Optimus. It's pretty simple, and some Transformer toys, they ask you to remember hundreds of different steps to turn it into the vehicle mode. And I've always preferred the transformations that are a lot more sort of short and sweet. And this one kind of fits the bill in my opinion. I'm always really blown away by toys that transform. I don't know, the amount of engineering and thought that has to go into that, it's kind of insane when you think about it. But all in all, yeah, a pretty simple, smooth, easy transformation for Optimus, which is fun to do, and it's always nice when it's fun to do. You do have to swap out one of the tiles on the front of the truck. I'm not always a big fan of needing to remove or kind of swap out things on a transformation, but this is a pretty minor detail, so honestly, I'm kind of just nitpicking. It's not really the end of the world. Now, the actual truck vehicle mode itself looks incredible. I think LEGO really nailed the design on this one here. If hypothetically this set was only the truck, it couldn't transform, LEGO just released a truck version of Optimus Prime, I'd probably be okay with it because the model itself looks nice. But, obviously I'm happy that it actually does transform. Additionally, of course, this truck matches the source material as well pretty nicely. So, yeah, there's a lot to love about this Optimus Prime set. But, can we make a better Optimus Prime? Well, a builder by the name of Ransom Fern made instructions that you can purchase on Rebrickable. There's a link to that in the description below if you want it. And he used the pieces from just one Optimus Prime set to make this alternate model. Now, this version of Optimus Prime is based off of his look from the IDW comics, specifically those by Don Figueroa. And I think this is a brilliant look for Optimus Prime. And it's been beautifully translated into LEGO. I think what blows me away about this alternate model the most is the fact that it is so much taller than the original set, and it only uses pieces from the exact same set. I don't really fully understand how that works, but it's very impressive. Additionally, this model is packed full of details, it's incredibly accurate to the source material, it's got a lot going on for it. Unfortunately, this one doesn't actually transform, but you sacrifice the transformation for a really, really solid robot mode, and that's okay. Some noteworthy details on this model include the head design, which kind of bulks up and sort of smooths out the original design, and it gives it this sort of new, unique eye design here, which I think works nicely. The finger design is also pretty cool. It has a lot more posability to it. The thumbs move a lot more, the index finger moves, and then all the other fingers are kind of grouped together in that sense, but they also move if you want them to. It's certainly nice to see the fingers have even more posability than the original set. I also really like how the tires have been introduced into the lower leg here. I don't know, just the fact that it's kind of embedded in with the rest of it. There's something about that that seems very fitting for the Transformers aesthetic. Not really sure what it is, but I just really like this detail. So when making alternate builds for LEGO sets, often you're really forced to play with the specific pieces you have. There's that really fun challenge and limitation of only being able to use what you've got and not being able to introduce other pieces. And this is helpful because you can kind of have these limitations and it forces you to be more creative. But at the same time, these limitations could also be a hindrance. Because you're forced to only use specific pieces, there might be parts of the mock that just look a little bit off, or the colors don't quite fit, or maybe things look a little bit gappy or unfinished because of these limitations. And honestly, for the most part, that's not really an issue on this mock. The torso is brilliantly designed, the shoulders have this fantastic smooth curvature to them, and the model just holds up nicely despite any kind of parts limitations. However, I do think the legs suffer a little bit. There are some areas here that seem a little bit empty or maybe could have been armored up a little bit more, but hey, that's just the way alternate builds work. There just weren't any pieces left to be able to do this. But you know, if you wanted to add your own specific modifications, maybe you could improve these areas yourself. That being said, I think the legs still look pretty good despite this, and I'm kind of just nitpicking to a degree. Ransom Fern's still been able to pack in so much accuracy into this design, so, you know, little slight things like that seem a little bit off, but it's pretty easy to fix if you want to. And it certainly doesn't ruin the model. Now, in terms of posability, the model actually has some pretty excellent range of motion. Once again, there's no knee joints, but I don't know, I'm kind of used to that at this point with LEGO sets, and I don't really think it's a problem. The legs still have a brilliant range of posability, and there's this fantastic swivel you can do kind of closer to the waist here, which is just really nice. Sometimes the blaster is a little bit too heavy and he can kind of struggle to hold it up, but if you just kind of place it by his side, you're all good. But yeah, otherwise the rest of the posability on this thing is pretty fantastic. I don't really have any other issues with it. Yeah, Ransom Fern really did a good job with this. And he's no stranger to alternate builds. If you watched one of my older videos about one of his alternate models for the Iron Man buildable figure, you know he's built some pretty good other alternate models. I'll have links to this one in the description as well if you want to build it. All in all, both the set and Ransom Fern's model are pretty incredible. If you read the IDW Transformers comics, this model probably has an even more special place in your heart. But honestly, I think you can just really appreciate this model's beautiful smoothness and the kind of robust look of it, which is so much different to the official set, which is a lot more kind of blocky and has that beautiful LEGO charm to it. So two different extremes, but they both capture this awesome character in really different, fantastic lights. If you haven't picked up the set yet, be sure to do so. And then when you do, grab those instructions and see if you can build this alternate model as well. And if you're not a big fan of this specific alternate model, Ransom Fern built another one based off of the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, which also looks fantastic. I haven't actually built this one yet, but hey, it's brilliant, so definitely something to consider if you want to get one of these. But anyway, that's it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and happy building if you plan on buying the set or building one of the alternate models. See ya!